MMOR both just resubscribed for 22 months. Oh 7.
Hello, welcome to the AstroPub, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? Just getting myself some stuff set up. We're going to be doing some Star Citizen today. I haven't played Star Citizen in a little bit. I haven't played it since, well, I played on Sunday, but I haven't played 3.24 since like, I played it on Saturday too, but it was like only the run, which didn't do very well. Citizen Joel, Oscar, Von Kell, how y'all doing? I can't get all of the... There we go. Make sure there's nothing else. Do Interesting. I noticed that before. A new patch a couple hours ago, and they're still claiming Wave 2 soon, TM. Okay, cool. Options, graphics. All right. Did they announce a new patch? Or did they release a new patch a couple hours ago? How y'all doing? Whiskey sour, indeed. Personal weapons. Yeah, so it's not there. It's got to be. I think they might sell it over at a. Over here? I always forget the name of it. Dumper's Depot. Dumper's Depot. Let's go to the depot. Is my character like 37? How did he get 2 points of damage from jumping off like less than 10 feet? Nah. It's the multi-tool. Eagle Eye, I know you're just panicked because you're concerned that 4.0 is going to take a long time, but you got to remember that CIG does this thing called, though it was mocked a lot, there's this thing called staggered development, where they have teams working on different aspects of the game all throughout. The only reason why 4.0 would be delayed would be probably more towards its release rather than its, this looks like it's still broken, then it's, oh, is it fixed? No, it might be fixed. More towards its release rather than it's like it's released to live rather than it's released to PTU. Because the only thing that might delay 4.0's full release is QA. Access to QA resources who then have to test and fix a lot of the problems for 4.0. But I know that's the fear and the worry, and it's August, so you get a lot of folks coming in screaming Star Citizen's a dead game and all these other kind of things. It's still going to be completely borked. I think Star Citizen 4.0 is still going to release not only this year, is it's going to release before CitizenCon. I'll be glad to be wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be in this one, sadly. I think they'll fucking hack and smack and whack that bitch until it has nothing but minimal viable product written all over it and throw that shit out, barely functioning and to be acceptable so that they can meet a deadline. That's what they did with the original release of 3.23. No, it's not going to be 3.18. There'll be new and exciting ways that 4.0 fucks up, but it won't be 3.18. Basically, if you're anticipating 4.0, if you're like, hey, I'm not going to play Star Citizen until 4.0 comes out, I'll see you in January or February, because that's the only reason why. That's the only place I would go. Honestly, I'd wait until then, because that's when it'll be more stable. It probably still won't be fully playable, but it'll at least be like not the complete shit show that it's going to be when it comes out. Yeah, I'm streaming on both YouTube and stream and Twitch. I always do. Yeah, Vapor, you're just like, who the fuck is this person talking to?
Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
Do. All right, let's see how bad the audio is right now. Does it fit?
Vehicle selected. Stand by.
The fuck is that sound?
Your vehicle has been delivered to the following locations.
I always have to do that when these first hangers come in. It's always just like, mwah. They really nail. I called this so long ago when they talked about this. I said it was going to be like smoke and lights and like the womp and everything like that, and it's perfect. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. That is fucking awesome. It is great. This is the guarantee you. I guarantee you when 4.0 comes out and you are like in December, right? December or January, whenever the content drought for every other game dries up and people come crawling back to Star Citizen, because they always do around a certain time period because content dies and people are looking for new games. Whenever that big content creator rush comes in, maybe November-ish, we'll see how well the other games do. The first thing people are going to be making videos about is that. People are showing their friends that and be like, that's fucking cool. It's like, yeah, that's right. It's cool. I was talking about with my brother. He's a little worried that Star Citizen is going to go more arcade direction than simulation. So I'm going to give a very non-committal answer because I don't think, okay. How to put this? I'm going to give an answer that's not going to make anybody happy. People who make the argument of sim versus arcade. Okay, we'll wait for that because we got this one first.
You can take away my space.
Distastic is like, shut up, Paul.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can
never, ever
take away my space game.
Testatastic just resubscribed for 3 months. A prime sub for the best damn space historian out there.
Thank you so much, Testatastic, for the Twitch Prime sub. You're a very important pub. We're very impressed with any pedestrian. This is your fault. Leave us drinking night sessions, just in chat, shots and cheers. Hey, Army Kits, how you doing? So let me give you a very unsatisfying answer. CIG is going to make the game more arcadey and also more sim. There is nothing arcadey about having to call up your fucking like cargo in individual units and then manually loading them onto your ship. That is not an arcade feature at all. There's nothing arcadey about having to manage individual aspects of your ship's systems, like power, not just power, heat, and, you know, or not just power, but heat, life support, lighting, fucking anything CIG is going to throw in there, they're going to throw in there. That shit is going to be fucking annoying. Absolutely fucking annoying. Things about like repair and which system gets hit and how it hits in terms of its dynamic, the damage system and wear and tear systems. All of these systems are definitely not arcadey in the slightest. But because those systems are super complicated and are probably going to cost a lot of brain power, meaning you're gonna have to like really think about those systems, they're gonna dumb down some of the other systems just so that people don't burn out. So like the reason why they simplified some aspects of like FPS and the reason why they have things like master modes is because they want to have roles. They want to emphasize roles, but they also want to kind of make it so that it's more approachable and fun, so that people can pick up and play the game and enjoy it, but also dig into it. The problem is that most sim players expect the depth to come in something like the flight mode. And I don't think Star Citizen's flight mode is really where the depth is going to come into when it comes to sim. It's going to come into its management mode, which is not something that fighter pilots want to give a fuck about. They hate micromanaging systems. That is not something they like to do. They want to like learn how to do certain tricks here and there, and it's going to get a lot more complicated for them than it already is. That is what's going to happen. Like the complexity is going to come in, and the depth and the sim is going to start coming into the where you have to manage your power and your heat effectively in order to function, which is going to make it much harder to be an effective fighter pilot without, for long periods of time. You're going to have support through larger ships or through carrier ships or through maintenance. All those things are going to start mattering a lot more. Why? Because CIG wants to force players to play together, because they've been emphasizing the MMO aspect of their game, and they're thinking about Star Citizen in a 1.0 context. And in that 1.0 context, they want people to rely on one another, or at least rely on NPCs. Later, Eagle. No, Luna, I haven't, and I have to go back to school. I like, if I wanted to do the mini painting stuff, I'd have to probably purchase a new setup, which I'm not going to invest right now. But we'll see. Maybe next summer. Fuck is that? Oh yeah, let me pull up the cool shit first. So the engineer is dealing with the heat, doing the simulation, the pilot's doing the flying. Yeah. Yeah, it's a combination of a lot of different things. The biggest thing is just straight up the like, every time I looked up, hey, what kind of camera should I use for these sorts of mini paintings? They're all like, use this camera, and like they put a link, and I'm like, oh, it's the camera I use for my face, which was, it's just like $600. It's like, I don't really have the space for that, and audio is a problem, and what I'll probably do is I'm going to use some of this money that I'm getting for during this sort of for this trip to invest in sort of like a oh, it's only in the ship though, it's not bad. To invest in like a lighting, or not a lighting, like a laptop that can do mobile streaming, and doing something like that to allow me some light mobile gaming, but also like mobile streaming, which isn't too expensive, I don't think. I'd have to do more research. Last time I did research into it, it was like somewhere between 500 and 1,000, which isn't bad for something you want to use for, several years, especially if it's for like editing videos and stuff. But if I'm doing that for like while I'm out there doing content and traveling, then I can probably use that as a double that up for future content for streaming, because I can use that setup instead of using my kind of PC setup, which isn't near my painting setup. So am I right that thinks that's odd that a small junior rank cargo mission can be 99 SCU? Have they finally updated that? That was one of the things I was worried about, was them doing missions which were like incredibly high number without you, so like people with like an Aurora have to do those sorts of things. It's not too bad, since CIG specifically has expanded the number of ships you can rent, so that's not awful. But all right, so let's do planetary cargo. Is there a large I can do? Here we go. Solar medium cargo. Is there planetary medium? Junior rank. Oh, Kovalex. Is there a higher rank than junior? These seem so weird. This feels like a glitch. Junior rank. What's the highest? Small cargo. Solar. It's not too bad. Medium cargo. That's not too bad. deliver to Everest Harbor from Mikael 2. Yeah, it's not too bad. I can probably do that. So I've got to go to Mikael 2 for both of these, and then I got to deliver them to Everest Harbor and Port Tressler. So I can put all of them in like one run for Everest Harbor and then for Port Tressler. All right, let's head out. Yeah, they definitely need. There's definitely needs to be a kind of a fix for. Hey, wave 2 is open. Nice. Yeah, my thought was they're going to fast track it this week. No, I don't doubt it. I think they're going to skip wave 3 and go to wave 4. They're going to go to open PTU by the end of the week if this does well. Because it's clear what they really want to do is get wave 4 so they can test Blockade Runner. Mounts by Wacka on Wacka's day. Woo! What are you looking for? What are you looking? What are you looking as good / base reward from? Oop, as I hit the wrong button, move sideways. At a 4.0. Okay, so I've always said, I've been saying since I've heard about it that I do not like the idea of using the idea of having loot in loot tables that like they do now, I feel is bad because it doesn't really incentivize players to do something because you're gonna have such a random drop chance that it makes the game, you either have to force players to do it to get certain items and they have to grind, which is fine if the grind is fun, but not fine if it gives them an advantage. And that's something I'm not really okay with. Is I'm going to go to this one thing that's going to give me a significant advantage over my enemies for a specific reason, and I'm just going to grind the shit out of it because it's not fun or it's not fun enough, and I'm just going to do my best to get this one thing and then I'm going to leave. That's not a good gameplay loop. That is the kind of MMO from, say, like Korean MMO style of things, which works for people who want to just face roll their keyboards, but I don't think it works for the Star Citizen community or the Star Citizen crowd. So in my opinion, what they should do is do a McGuffin. You should go into a station and get a shiny Pico, and that shiny Pico can then be turned into whatever organization you're working for to get reputation or gear that's loot, that's rare loot that you can only get by getting Picos. It doesn't have to be in Pico. I'm just using Pico as an example. It can be any sort of McGuffin shit that they can come up with. And that allows for more control over what you're doing, because you basically have a prize table and you have the tickets, which function as the Picos, which function as tickets. So, you know, I really like that armor set. That's cool as shit. That's a legendary armor set, but I have to collect 7 Picos in order to get that. You don't understand with the face roll thing? So notoriously, there's MMOs that come from East Asia are notoriously grind heavy. You know, it's very much just like you just do this until you get enough and you kind of go. Which isn't necessarily too different from Western MMOs. The Western MMOs tend to favor spectacle over grind. Like WoW will come out with a new expansion that's all about this new thing and, you know, all those sorts of things, versus like, hey, you want to get this rare legendary loot drop? You got to log in these hours at this time, and you've got a 0.001 chance of getting this drop. Good luck. But if you get it, you're going to become invincible and beat everybody's faces in. The pyro key idea. Yeah, exactly. I think this is it's a good kind of medium point, because you can still face roll your keyboard. You can still sit there and be like, I have no life. I am sweaty and I smell like I'm a League of Legends player, and I really want to I need to get this fucking Pico. And you can get the fucking Pico. But then you're working towards a goal you know that's tangible, that you can see, that you can get. That is more engaging to me than a random 0.001 chance that you're going to even like see it. And then you can refresh the shops every so often. So you can just swap the shops over for a legendary gear over that. Okay, so a McGuffin is a term used in storytelling where you have an item that doesn't matter. So let me see if I can find a good reference for it. If you've seen Pulp Fiction, the briefcase that the characters are looking for in Pulp Fiction is called a MacGuffin. The Falcon in the Maltese Falcon, the movie The Maltese Falcon, that's a MacGuffin. It's effectively an item that everyone's looking to get. That is the kind of the impetus. It's the actual reason why people go out to like get stuff. It's like the inciting action. It's the thing that happens where people want to achieve the item. Grab the item. I'm trying to think of another good example of this. The ring in Lord of the Rings is a good example. The ring in Lord of the Rings isn't really the point of the story, but it is the driving point for the story. They have to take the ring to Mordor to destroy the ring. That's it. But that action and them having to take it to Mount Doom to destroy the ring is the whole point of the story. It drives all of the story, but the ring itself doesn't actually do anything. So yeah, the Ark and Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Death Star plans in A New Hope. Yeah, that's another good example. The One Piece in One Piece. It's not the actual that they're looking for the One Piece. But if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen One Piece. But it's the reason why they're together, but it's not the reason why they continue. It's not the reason why things happen. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. So the idea being, this is Pyro. So let me tell this in a narrative sense. Pyro is pretty fucking bleak. Life in Pyro is hard. And a lot of the stuff that's in Pyro is over half a century old, and half a millennia old. It's like 500 years old, falling apart and in poor maintenance. So there are probably parts of the station, maybe manufacturing parts, which have been malfunctioning. And so those manufacturing parts will occasionally kick on when they get enough resources and start to create items. And these items are very important for maintenance and repair of the station. So by gathering these maintenance and repair items, which are only produced in this single room, because it's the only place that's left that produces them, you can gather them and bring them back to a faction so they can help maintain their facility. And because these are very rare and difficult to get a hold of, they pay you a lot of money to go out and get that. But the problem is that it's very dangerous, and everybody else wants to get that as well, including local gang members who want to try to from other gangs who want to try to do that as well. So you create this sort of it's too expensive to try to police, but it's too valuable to not try to do it themselves. Like the Outer Belt colonies of Halo or Star Wars. Yeah, it's kind of like resources are rare or are difficult to come by. Things are falling apart, and they need people to kind of just keep things on track. Okay, going to M2. So that's just a quick narrative justification for them to do it. And it's a good gameplay, I think, in my mind, because it gives them a lot more levers to pull. It allows for the developers to pull levers and change things up, because if they think people are just grinding this way too hard, let's just fuck up the prize pool and make people stop showing up. Or switch it up so that the prize pool at another station has better things, so people have to go to a different station and do those things up. Steal its CIG. It's not even a new idea. The idea that I just said is effectively what fucking Destiny does with its engrams, right? Only with engrams you have to like pay to have them decoded, but you can get engrams and then they'll just give you cool shit, but you just have to take them to a shop to get them decoded. Help me, Paul. I need to get away from real world politics, dude. Just keep doing what you're doing. Hey, I'm gonna still hit you with the politics, but just with politics of fictional universes. I like grinding for stuff, and I think if I work for it, I should have it, and whomever does not grind for it should not have it. Everything being too easy to allow a player to get the player lower player hours. Yeah, but I think there's a difference between like having a random drop chance, so you're forced to just absolutely smash an objective until you get it, is not healthy for gameplay. It's like, if you're guaranteed to get the +2 defense chest piece, legendary chest piece, in this one location, everyone's is going to get it, so they're just going to play that region, that dungeon until they get it done, until they get that +2 legendary chest piece. The problem is because you have to make it available for everyone, it becomes a thing where everyone's going to do that until they can get their +2 legendary chest piece, and then everyone has it, and it just becomes a dump shit tons of hours into X thing to get this thing so you can be competitive in the game. That's not fun. And this is where I dog on Elite Dangerous just for a little bit. That's what engineering was in Elite Dangerous, and that isn't fun. You have to do engineering. You have to just dump loads of time to be able to stay competitive, and it's like, that feels very, we want you to increase the amount of time you play our game sort of thing, rather than being a like engaging aspect where you're getting the players involved in the process. Hey, Paul, I'm sorry I'm late. I had to berate my union rep, and that's not how Destiny's engrams work. How do Destiny's engrams work? A name so long to know anybody. Because it's been a long time since I've played Destiny. I remember there was a shop where if you got certain things, you would take them in and they would decode them for you, and you'd get a random thing, but it would be a guaranteed, like, very high thing. What I was thinking is like, this is similar to how Destiny's engrams work, where you get said thing, turn said thing in, and then get something out of it. Yeah, you don't want to increase playtime arbitrarily, though. You want to increase playtime with a reward in mind. So instead of having because like, say if you're grinding out these missions that get you these golden picos, and you use said golden picos to gain these rare loot items amongst different vendors throughout the pyro system, you can bank those picos. And so you can wait until something cool happens. It still incentivizes you to play to get those picos, but it doesn't reward players for face grinding an objective until they get what they want. You can still get what you want, but if the vendor doesn't have the item you want, you can just wait until they rotate, or you can go to a vendor that has it, or you can just hold on to them until you go. You're still incentivized because you know that those picos are going to give you some fucking good shit. They're going to give you some primo shit in the future. You just need to wait until you get those, until that thing shows up, so you can hoard them and then use them. It still increases player hours because you know golden picos are valuable. You just, instead of you having to look at a very specific goal, now you have like for a very specific item, now you have an item that can be turned into whatever item you need. No Man's Sky does that with Quicksilver. Not gonna lie, when the Mirai Pulse is available to buy in game, I'm definitely testing it to see if I can fit a whole seas entrance elevator, etc. I'm gonna use it for my whole seas speeder if it does. Almost certainly does. It is fucking tiny, man. Destiny legendary items are automatically decoded. Prime engrams just require you to take them to Rahul in a tower, and exotic engrams automatically decode too, but they don't cost anything to do. But you don't know, you're not guaranteed whatever is dropped with them, right? They're just, you have to take them in to get them to work. It does fit on a whole sea elevator. Okay. I think including consumables as well would be good, because at a certain point there's nothing left to farm. Yeah, I mean that's fine too. Like I'm not saying like the treasure room shouldn't be full of treasure. Make them full of treasure, but they should also the main drive shouldn't be treasure. It should be something that you can turn in for other valuables. Kind of sort of like this is Sea of Thieves, where you go to the treasure, you finish like an adventure, you go to the treasure room and you gather all of these materials. Not all those materials have a use, but all of them have a value, and you can sell those materials for money, but you don't necessarily want those. They don't have a value for you in game right away. Their value is in the value that they have as an exchange item. And I think that's kind of what I'm looking at, something like that, because that's cool. I like Sea of Thieves. So where you get 7 engrams for one specified item, you can generate, you can guarantee it, but not need to farm a lot. Most engrams got removed other than vendor engrams and exotics. The exotic system is the closest thing to what you said, but I'd prefer the vendor engrams where you can focus other than pull out of 300. So like a mixture of that idea of you have a shiny Pico that you can turn in for some super special loot that is on a rotation pool that you could get at different vendors, or maybe even reputation that you can exchange. You can exchange for reputation because you can gift it to them and they can be like, "Oh, you're so fucking awesome! You gave us this this self-stealing stem bolt. That's fucking amazing. This box of self-stealing stem bolts, mwah, perfect. This is exactly what we needed to fix our station. Let's and you're doing it for free? We like you, buddy. Come join our fire cult." $89. We actually played a lot of Sea of Thieves. We played like 2 or 3 weeks of Sea of Thieves with me and Logan did. So that's a long way of saying that's generally what I think this should be done with loot, because the problem with the current loot system is that it's effectively pointless. The reason why you gather certain loot is because its value, but its value is so low that you have to collect it in such a high volume that it becomes tedious. And anything that has good value that you can gather for sale is just generally not worth the effort, because the looting system is kind of awful, and then the oh, I gotta wait for the cooldown. Yeah, it gets to the point where people just don't bother with loot. Like you have to tell players that there is loot here and that loot is valuable and you should pick up that loot. The problem is that in order to do that, you have to make the loot that's gathered rare, which they don't want to do, because if they make rare loot and restrict it to just the loot pool, then people will complain. See when they did that with sniper rifles and railguns and such. All they did was create a bunch of gear that people were willing to just hoard to use and then complain about its rarity later. And it didn't really make any sense in terms of overall the experience either, because there should have still been an option to pay for it, even if it was exorbitantly high or required a reputation gate. So 3.24 live by the weekend. I don't think we're going to see it live by the weekend. I do think we'll see it live by next week, though. Probably next Thursday. I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to skip wave 3 and go straight to wave 4 if wave 2 does well this week. If wave 2 does well today and tomorrow, then Friday they'll go wave 4, and then Saturday and Sunday they'll do another test of the run, whatever it's called. The Blockade Runner. And if that goes well, then they'll release, they'll continue to test it with wave all until like Wednesday, and then Wednesday they'll pull the trigger and throw it out into the wide public by next weekend. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Evocati drop to 4.0 Evocati drop like the same day as 3.24 goes live. Lobster, he ain't wrong. It's happened before. CIG has done that exact same thing a couple of times already, where they drop a live patch and go Evo literally the same day. Yes, of course, I work for CIG, so you can take that as confirmed. Make sure to write all your complaints to Disco Lando at to Jared Huckabee at cloudimperiumgames.com. Gonna throw Jared under the bus. That was Blockade Runner. I played it. It was very fun. The only problem I had with it is the last part, the turn-in part, wasn't working. But it was great. Other than that, it was real good fun. And it was, it very much is the best parts of Ninetales Lockdown with the best parts of the Siege of Orson. Not Siege of Orson. What am I saying? Xenothreat. The Xenothreat event. So the gameplay loop is you take the mission, you get a bunch of locations for where McGuffin material is. So it was Proline or whatever, Zetoproline, that was the one when I was doing it. You go to those locations where they were, you disable or destroy the cutlasses or the caterpillars that have those on them. And then you take those, their cargo, put it on your ship, take it to the station it's being under attack. You have to fight your way through the being under attack, land your ship safely, then take your items off and load it into the cargo deck, just like a cargo mission would, and hit accept. So the goal, and the goal is like, hey, you get like 8 to 30, anywhere between like 2 to 30 SCU of cargo, and the goal is like 10,000 SCU. So it's like this insanely high number, and you have to go and farm these missions, these ships to get them, and then fight your way through all the way while you're doing this. And you can't land a whole sea if it's got cargo. You can only dock in space. Yup. Just curious, for a whole sea landing on a planet, does that whole seas can't land on planets? Not loaded. Okay, that sounded like you sounds like you confirmed my approach. Medium hangar? This is a medium ship? Nope, it's all combat. I mean, the non-combat options is moving cargo from derelict ship to your ship, or from your ship to the hangar. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How you doing? Sorry, I'm trying to land as well. We're up to Logan playing some Star Citizen. And of course, looking forward to the imminent approaching release of Space Marine 2. Spath Marine 2.
Due to inactivity, we have been forced to assign your landing zone.
Nope. Fudge you. Okay. Interesting. How's Wave 2? So far, so good. They announced that it was going Wave 2 as I was playing it, so there's not really any difference that I've experienced so far. Oh, when are we going to go back to Dark Tide? Man, like, we got Ultramarines and we got, like, bespoke missions for Ultramarines. I don't think I'm ever going to convince Loken to play Dark Tide ever again. If it comes down to questions about, like, me and Loken hanging out and playing a multi-person game, Loken's just going to be like, I'm sorry, let me do it right. He's just going to be like, give me a bolter, brother.
For the Emperor.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
What did they fucking do? I know that they had exclusive, that fucking, Game Informer had exclusive rights to promoting Dragon Age, and now Game Informer is completely fucked. So it's like, oh, what the fuck are they gonna do now? We're talking about Warhammer 40K Dark Tide. Yeah, I would say in general, other than like Dragon Age, this, how much did it cost? Ah, that's not too bad. What's the deal of with that with staying in front of a hangar that isn't assigned to you? What do you mean? Well, when I was just right there, it was assigned to me, but it took me too long to land. That's why I stood there. We're talking about why other people would do it? I don't know. They're bored. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, can you not control your whole party anymore? That's weird. That's like a Baldur's Gate 3 thing. You'd expect them to be mimicking everything Baldur's Gate did. Then again, it was in development for much longer than Baldur's, or not much longer. It was been in development for before Baldur's Gate 3 released, and Baldur's Gate released only last year, so a year is a long time. They're completely changing the way combat works, making it like one of those Japanese flashy, too damn fast things. Only you control your own character. It seems weird. You're like maybe like the Final Fantasy series, or is it more like action RPG? Is that what you're saying?
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit.
Yeah, I know they did that,
Take away my space lasers.
but like gayer.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Keniak89 just resubscribed for 34 months. I have no life and I love it. Stay awesome and thanks for all the content.
Thank you so much, Caniac, for the 34 months of support. You're a very important part of very precipice of any pedestrian. This is your fault. You're drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Mecha Break, yes. I mean, I'm looking forward to Mecha Break when it comes out. I enjoyed it. I'm probably gonna play it more. I'm gonna drag I'm gonna drag Loken into it. I may even drag Celine into it. Be like, Celine, you're coming with me on this one. In general, can you block people from entering a hangar or stop them from leaving? You can, but you can also get a fine for it. That's where the it's so weird that there's going to be an actual like freaking thing there in 4.0. Logan already has it. That's cool. Nice. Hold on. Just take a quick break here. Enjoy Drake Engineering at its finest. Look at that. Look at this. It's even highlighting it so I can sit down on it. Am I playing what now? Mecha Break. Yeah, it hits all of the right elements of like a hero shooter and all the right elements of mecha. That thing it bursts at the seams with its Gundam like origins.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No PPUs.
But you can never,
Never.
ever take away my space game.
Gifted Lunam, a membership. Luna Maria celebrates 10 months of membership. More Mecha Break streams will be appreciated.
Thank you so much for being a member for
Smile.
10 months there, Luna. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive, of any pedestrian. This is your fault. The reason we're drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. It's really fun, man, but I miss Gundam Evolution. All right, so quartz. Rundum. All right, so let's do quartz. Let's do all the quartz. All right, so we need to take 38 SCU of quartz to Everest. And then corundum, 12 SCU of corundum. So let's see what we have here. What is that? How many? Oh, it's just 8 SCU. All right. So I just need 30 more. Why the Tressler? Okay. 8. 16. It's more weird that at some point you'll need to decide between pooping and entering a story convo with a dump truck full of butt funk. What? Yeah, the beta's over, but it should be coming out in near future. It was really, really good. That beta was fucking polished as shit. I'm gonna stay here for now. So this should be 32. Be 38, right? Oop, that doesn't go there. Just need 6 SCU. What is this, 4? Four and 2. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is one of the new cargo missions. It's also now on Wave 2, so. Just neat. It wasn't Wave 2 when I started the stream, and it became Wave 2 as I was playing the stream. All right, so I'm gonna put all these down, because that's 38, and now I just need 14 corundum. It seems like 8, 2, so that's 10. I just need 4. That's 4. That's 1. It's got to be 1. That's got to be 8, right? Yeah, 8. Yeah, see, that's exactly the case. Exactly. I work for SAG. I control when the waves drop. That's exactly what happens. So this is 2, and I get 8. So that's 10 plus 4 is 14. That's all I need. Okay. I don't quite have enough space, but I'll make the space. Drake engineering. So I have 38 plus 10 is 48. And that's saying that's the maximum I can do is 48 SU. I could swear you could have gotten like more than that with no, you can't. That's weird. It feels like you should be able to do more than 48 SEU with the Corsair. That's like less than a freelancer. There's more than that, right? Or is that? Can you stack it 3 high? I thought you could only stack it 2 high. Let me try. Do they match the contents? Okay, let's check. So it says inert and says heavy cargo certified, safety inspection. Heavy something or other, ECAD. I haven't tried doing it stack up. It probably could. It does. Aha. You just have to have a very specific type of stacking is the issue. All right, let me go put this back down. Yeah, I thought it was 72. It's just the way that you have to configure it is different because it's like you'd have to get 8 SCU crates. So we could definitely do a 16 SCU crate. Couldn't do a 32 SCU crate. 16 and 16. And then I could do another 16. So 16 SCU crates and then 6 4 SCU crates. I think that math's math, and I don't know. Yeah, so the inert, heavy, they all have the same ones, even though this is quartz and that's cadmium. They may be similar in terms of like transportation. Going to compartmentalize. Do not want to leave these doors open all the time. Thank you, Pandar. You are so smart. All right. I'm going to go with takeoff options. Then we're going to go raise up the gear. Oh, Mark Hanamad. I missed your streams, man. I'm sorry I couldn't attend some. I'm glad you're here now. Thank you for hanging out. Is genotoxic and carcinogenic? Bad. So the signs maybe not match. Probably don't. What you should do, Radar Echo, is write a very long Spectrum post about how they should start labeling them properly. And see if they give you a snarking response or like a, yes, thank you for pointing it out. Now we'll change this. I'm already halfway through. I mean, I think they could probably make some of those classifications. They could probably look those up and look up what the signs look like now and get that done. So we're going to go to Everest Harbor. Right. Let me double check. No, Tressler. We're going to Tressler. That's how many we have. This was the larger one. This is not Tressler, right? Oh, it is Tressler. Yeah, the ATC will do it fine. What's the newest PU report or squadron report? So we're going to do the squadron report tomorrow, and I'm also going to release the PU report that I read last week tomorrow because I've been busy with getting back to school. But the gist is that a lot of the stuff they're working on is 4.0. It's 3.24 and then 4.0 related. Plus a lot of discussion. There's like 9 ships in the process of being built. The Zeus and Polaris are on their way to being released. God, what else is there? Oh, scanning. They've done a lot of work on scanning. Scanning is something they've been really fucking just full sending for recently. Vehicle wipe? I don't think we're going to see a vehicle wipe. I really hope they do a full wipe for 4.0. I know they said that they wanted to try to reduce as much wiping as possible, but like, I feel like 4.0 is a big enough release that if you wiped at 4.0 and then did your best to not wipe ever again, most people would be understandable. Then again, I'm also of the opinion that wiping is good. Just in general. We should be in proponents of wiping in an alpha stage. Front to back, yeah. I'm more of a bidet man. If I have to do material handling data sheets, so does CIG. I actually think that that's a great way of adding sim and immersion to the game, is having those little material, because like CIG wants to do different damage states and stuff like that. That's a great little, like, that adds a lot more to like, oh, you fucked up this container containing, you know, an acid. Congratulations, you now have acid damage. Oh, this thing is carrying radioactive material. Congratulations, enjoy the rads, motherfucker. Like, there should be consequences to your actions. The find out part around fucking around, which is something that I've always been a big proponent of since CIG was talking about the game, that the idea of your actions have consequences. What you do will affect you and the universe around you. Damn kids don't know how good they have it. Back in my day, CIG wiped every little patch. Them kids stayed off my lawn. They need to improve the tractor beams then? I think the tractor beams are fine. You just need to be more aware of what you're using. They do probably need to improve like support tractor beams. Like having it so that you're having multiple beams on a target actually supports it and slows it down and gives you more control. That would be nice too, yeah. How much are we earning on this mission? So last I checked, it was like 19K. Yeah, about 19K. And I started it about 30 minutes ago. Maybe less than that.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
And this is part 1 of a 2-parter. To be fair, I could have used a larger ship and I could have done this all in one go. I would just need something along the lines of like a large cargo ship. You realize that there's a freight elevator behind me, too. Is it normal for them to skip wave 3 and go straight to wave 4? Yes. That is not unusual for them to do That's actually how they used to do. Wave 3 used to be live, but then they added wave 3. They added wave 4 as they all like kind of move things around, and like I think it was 3.18. It may have been 3.21 or 2.2. But yeah, they used to do only 3 waves. I have not used a Nargo raft, but the Nargo raft, as far as I understand, requires you to use 32 SCU of cargo. So you can't use these smaller amounts. Does the cargo raft actually allow you to like load and offload things, or is it still busted like that? All right. Oh, can you actually do that now? Sorry, I just described. I've just showed you the new feature in 3.24. It's called Castle Doctrine. Or as I proudly said, CIG says, hippity hoppity, get off my property. Stand your space laws. I have no legal requirement to retreat. Cool. Looking forward, to be honest, to it. Almost got the whole C2, and Carrick, etc. for the cargo stuff, and my character in game is a smuggler cargo pilot. So yeah, hopefully there's no wipe, no ship wipe. And 3.24 is yeah, I don't want to work towards getting a Carrick, whole C and C2, etc. game, especially if they're getting price again. On top of that, they're going to have 4.0, which almost certainly is going to have a wipe in a couple of patches, or in a couple of months. So it's not too. I think it's a little too early to have a wipe. I don't think they said they were going to wipe either, so. I don't know if you can get it in game now. I think with 4.0 or 3.24, you're supposed to be able to rent it. I don't know if you can buy it in game. Through crafting, you can't get past security at jump point to get into pyro. You have a high crime stat. Okay. In pyro, you can't get a prize. You shouldn't be one-way value, valve point for PvP players to pyro, not the other way around. I don't know what you're saying. I don't like the idea that PvP players can't flee to pyro. But yeah, if you're saying PvP players should be funneled into pyro, not forced out of pyro or forced away from pyro, I agree. Like, it should be the other way around. People should be. It should be easier for you to flee to pyro than it is for you to get into Stanton with a crime stat. Oh wait, yeah, I gotta do this. Yeah, I am not a fan of how CIG is approaching that, the jump points. I think from a gameplay perspective, it's a bad idea. Then again, I come from the perspective that Star Citizen is a sandbox, and what you need to do is give a sandbox. For the sandbox, you need to give players the tools to make their own content and to make their own emergent gameplay. And it's a lot more emergent, in my opinion, if the AI will scan you, and if you try to sneak past the blockades, or the patrols of NPC AI who are looking for wanted players, than it is to artificially prevent players from jumping because they're naughty. All right. See if this works. Hey, yeah, it worked. Sweet. I don't know if that text is working properly, but it's supposed to work. Thought I had enough space. Apparently I did not. Not enough space in my space game? CIG, how dare you? Deliver shipment.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
CMDR_ShadowStull just resubscribed for 7 months. Current wave looks quite smooth. I hope it's not just because it's a fresh server.
Thank you so much, Shadow Stir, for that 7 months. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive. Very any pedestrian. This your fault. There was no drinking night. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. So I could be missing a step here because it's telling me that unclaimed cargo is awaiting transfer, leaving the aerial forfeit changes. But if you go into the contracts, it says I've already delivered all of those things. It's greened me out. So I don't know if that's just an error or what. But no, so it was actually before they opened it up to Wave 2. They just opened it up. It wasn't like they had a new patch and it was Wave 2. Like, they just opened up the servers to Wave 2. Yeah, I am basically shipping for FedEx. And I'm also opening up all of the packages to make sure that if there's any valuable money, I'm stealing them.
Drinks all around. Let's party like it's your birthday. Come on and put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Blow the candle out.
Ramsey just got a sub from Access0096. Access0096 gifted a tier 1 sub to Ramsey.
Thank you so much for gifting that that sub to Ramsey. You're both very important pubbers, very impressive business, very new pedestrians. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Is Dunborough buying still bugged? Dunborough? I don't know. So when I'm talking about like, so here's the deal. Governments don't want criminals to flee to a place they don't have jurisdiction. But in a video game, as a developer trying to encourage players to play criminal lifestyle, you don't want players to be in the same location who are doing that kind of those kind of gameplay loops, to be in the same place where you have fresh new players who are just going to be ended up using as fodder for their gameplay. You want those sorts of players to engage with the fresh Bambi players to come in and engage with the more veteran hardcore like criminals and stuff. But you want to do it in a way that is controlled, and it's a place where, like, yeah, the Bambi fucked up and shouldn't be in a position where they are. Whereas with you want to make sure that those players who are participating in that sort of Yarhar Fiddle-Dee sort of gameplay, that they're going to a place that's going to be rewarding them for those decisions, or at least encouraging them to make those decisions.
You've exceeded the allotted time to depart. We will have to return your ship to storage.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
So it's a dilemma. I will say it's a paradox, as you will. As a gameplay developer, you want your criminal players to not be mingling in with your players who don't know what the fuck they're doing, especially players who are kind of lawful, because that's going to lead to bad things happening. And before anyone goes, but how are they going to make money, these criminal players? By attacking NPCs and other players in locations that they're going to be more valuable. But at the same time, you want players who are criminals to be facing prosecution for their actions in a system like Stanton, so that they have consequences to their actions. They can't just escape. It's a bit of a dilemma, and the reason why it's a dilemma is because CIG is making it a dilemma. They don't have to. They don't have to say that the ATC controls players when they go in and go out. They could use other systems. But according to them, they decided from the get-go to use the ATC as a means of doing so, which to me screams like a temporary solution to a long-term problem. But according to them, it's their long-term solution. So if that's your final answer, it's shit, but we'll go with that. And I think the easiest answer as to gameplay wise, why they'd want to do this, is because they want players to be able to A, physically fly through the jump point, and B, be ordered in a way so they don't just crash into each other, because crashing into each other trying to go through the jump point was a problem in the testing. So they want to try to have as little collisions as possible coming in and out of these major locations. So what they decided to do was have the ATC be responsible for this and prevent, you know, naughty players from being able to do the same thing. What they could have done is simply made that same system, but have it be automatic or some sort of gameplay attached to it so that players have to align themselves with the jump point, get ready to go, and then be placed in a queue based off of their arrival time, based off of hand-wavium, wishy-washy. The nav computers are preventing your ship from going off, taking off because of dangerous hazards. So it has a built-in safety mechanism to prevent it from getting abused like that. And that way, the responsibility for protecting the jump point lies with the local police forces who would be preventing players who are naughty from escaping punishment. This would make it a gameplay addition where players have to try to avoid the checkpoints, crawling with UEE military and police forces, like the advocacy, who are looking for players trying to escape. This adds a little bit of danger and mystique and allows players to possibly outwit the UEE, or just blind luck where like they are able to get in the right place in the right time, and before the UEE can figure out what's going on, they're through the jump point and out. A nice little white knuckle thing, and you can expand upon that later with things like scanning gameplay and like spoofing and other things they want to do in the future. That kind of builds on top of that gameplay mechanic, where it's more about, you know, that sort of thing. Perfect. Totally agree. The only thing that would make it better is if the Carrick Endeavor jump point scanning discovery is really fun and opening your own jump point isn't a chore, and profit for selling data with it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for them biddies. It's the problem comes down to, in my opinion. How you doing, Echo? Good to see you too. The problem comes down to, I don't like taking control away from players. I would rather players be in control of their own actions, and what they do is the consequences of their actions are felt by them. But that's not the way I want to go. And, you know, I'm an adult. I'm going to live with the fact that I think they're making a mistake. But that's what it is. Yeah, I've seen it. It's pretty cool. His name is Gareth Vanya. He is a cleric of love. He loves everything. And I mean everything. All the time. Because he's Gareth Vanya. Oh, yeah, the Contraband Police. I like that one. Yeah, it's pretty good. But it moves the game away from being a binary, are you good, are you bad sort of thing, you know? And moves it into more, you know, are you doing... Is this being done right sort of thing? Look, it's okay to love your party. Just don't love your party. Gareth Vanya does not discriminate. If you want to love, you can love him. He's okay with that, because life is about love. Gonna send this back down. we go. I think the death of a spaceman is fine. It's gonna hit on Metroidvania a little bit, or roguelike, I should say, not Metroidvania, roguelike, a little bit, but
You are clear to launch.
yeah, I think my issue stems from I don't like when CIG removes control away from players and forces you to do something. Because in a game that CIG has actively and earnestly promoted as being emergent gameplay and a sandbox experience, it feels really cheap to say, go fuck yourself, get in this line and shut the fuck up. Because that's what it feels like. And, you know, it may not be what their intention is, but intentions and intentions aren't always the realities of the situation. And I know CIG is always like, we'll change things if we need to, but it's like, it sounds like the change that people like myself or suggestion and other people have suggested would require an extensive amount of work and development time, which feels like, I don't know, would probably get shot down as too expensive and too time consuming because they've already sunk all this time and effort into this one thing. So how Death of the Spaceman works for y'all, just so you all understand, is that it was never intended to be permadeath. So people panicking about the game, about Death of the Spaceman being a situation where you have one life, you're dead, and you have to reroll a new character. That was never the intention of the idea. The idea behind Death of the Spaceman was more like what I like to refer to as a soft and hard health bars, which is a concept I've experienced in Life is Feudal. I don't know if many other games have done it. I'm sure there are. The idea of soft and hard health bars is that if you get taken down, like your health bar is like right over there where it says 98%, that's my soft health bar. And that just determines how much health you have left before you die. And when you die, you can be revived. And if you're revived in other games, you lose a bit of your hard health bar, but you can regain your soft health. So you're always a little bit closer to death every time you've been downed. And eventually you run out of hard health. And if you run out of hard health, you perma-die. And then when you perma-die, you have to recreate your character. So you kind of have a kind of a different health system managing your character. That's all that Death of a Spaceman is you're going to have a hard health bar and a soft health bar. Your hard health bar is called the IVS, or your imprint viability score, which is just going to be a line of how much percentage or how many times you can regen before you go bleh. And your soft health bar is just your health. And the more you die, the harder your IVS score is going to happen until you reach 0 or close to 0, and then you can't get regened. Then when you die, you have to create a new character, and you lose reputation, and you lose money because you have to pay inheritance tax and all these sorts of things. So it's kind of like a penalty for fucking up, rather than being a consequence for fucking up, rather than being you're dead and you've lost everything. So that's the way it's supposed to work. And if you read the original Death of a Spaceman, it's clear because that's what Chris Roberts talks about, but also not with IVS. There was a kind of more vague terms, but the same idea applies. But he was inspired by Demon Souls, the original Dark Souls, and how like you die just because you die doesn't mean you're dead. You can still recover all of your items, but if you fuck up again, then you lose more. So like there's a consequence to death. Death has a meaning, and he really wanted to have players value their lives more in a game with some difficulty. He was okay with it being difficulty. And the CIG is also very interested in doing something like if you that you can refill your IVS. Like there will be missions they want you to be able to do with specific, like they want ways for you to have that hard health bar go back up. But you have to do a specific mission or pay money or do something, like use resources to do so. Yeah, earn new set of lives, yeah. I just suspect CIG's implementation will set up in such a way that people who are super hard into PvP will basically ruin the gameplay loop for everybody else. So this is where I come into to say Star Citizen is not a PvP game; it's a game with PvP in it, and that always pisses off people who say it's a PvP game because, like, I'm sorry, y'all. But most of the time, you're going to be fighting NPCs. And if you're wondering, well, why don't I fight NPCs now? Because NPCs suck ass. So they needed to release a game now, and they did, for players to play now. And so they've leaned into the PvP aspect of things because it's what they had available. Not to say PvP won't exist. Obviously it will. But if you've noticed, the further along in development they've gone, the more they're leaning on events and things with NPCs, because the NPCs are getting better. And as the servers become better and can support more NPCs, we'll see more NPCs stuff happening. So your main opponent or main antagonist you'll be facing with throughout the verse is going to be an NPC, unless it's a specific event or a way that CIG can shepherd people into a specific area. What happens if you die to continue server crashes? They aren't activating that system until they have server crashes more or less handled. There's a reason why they haven't activated that system. Which, I know this is going to sound crazy, y'all, but CIG doesn't plan on having servers be shitty the entire time. Whenever I make that argument, people tend to just tell me I'm wrong, that it's a PvP game because there's PvP in the game. That it is a PvP game. But the reality is it's not focused on PvP players. It's focused on sandbox, which includes PvP. But people assume sandbox is PvP these days because they tend to be the same thing. When it's more of like a hybrid between PvP and PvE. Like I expect Jumptown eventually is going to get a PvE element to it, where like you're going to have to fight people at Jumptown, or Jumptown is going to constantly be assaulted by NPCs when players aren't showing up. So you might have crazy three-way fights going on. Like CIG is going to use NPCs as just a way of throwing things at you to make things more interesting and force you to do stuff. Like I expect when people were crying about Pyro, about people killing people at Pyro, my thought was, it's fucking Pyro, my dude. Like, what do you expect's going to happen? Yeah, just fucking get used to it. Welcome to Pyro is a term that's being used by Star Citizen fans because it basically means shut the fuck up. Welcome to the real world. Which is fine. There should be places like Pyro, which are solely designed to talk shit, get hit sort of thing. And there's still going to be NPCs, and NPCs are still going to be the main thing there, but like the consequences of you going full murder hobo is going to be less in a place like Pyro than Stanton. What did it say in the sign on the way in? It's funny because when people like we rated Avenger A1 at like recently, and he said something to the effect of, when I think of the space dad, I think of Paul Shelley. And I was like, oh, thank you. I am very fatherly. But he's like you're not really into PvP, and it's like I didn't want to say this. Why do you think I made the Jump Down Wars documentary? Why do you think I made the Jump Down Wars documentary? Because I fucking loved Jump Town. I fucking love PvP. I am definitely a PvP fan. I just don't enjoy it in Star Citizen yet, because it's just not really enjoyable for me. I used to do it all the time, but as PvE became more available, I enjoyed doing that. I like hauling and stuff like that, but the chaos she calls to me. I am very into smashing somebody's head open with a rifle, or shooting a line of that was really quick. Now, I had a server crash just now, and my mission, it's not canceled, I don't think. Let's see if it comes back. Yep, it got canceled for me. Oh well. Looks like the back-end mission services aren't here yet. Let's go for a landing first. Paul PvP, Paul Farina Shelley, Pichelli. I played a lot of DayZ. Like, it was the game that got me back into server crash, and nothing seems to be working right now. And we'll give it a few minutes. Oh, are you kidding me? You know how many people who are PvPers who love my lore shit? They fucking, I was surprised how many PvPers listen to my lore shit. They're just like, yeah, I love lore. It's like, what? Okay. But yeah, no, I loved the Jump Town. It was the thing that really, like, I love that sort of dynamic gameplay and players engage in like that kind of thing. I love that sort of thing. The problem I have is that I feel like it needs to be more valuable and have more consequences, but also a lot more rewards. Pyro is great because Pyro seems to be the direction CIG's heading with PvP, where it exists, but if there's no one around, you can still do PvE stuff and get a lot of contact, but you also always risk PvP, like station missions, these station dark zone missions, where you are contested zone missions, where you go, or the contested zones where you can go in and you're going to encounter PvE all the time, but you may also encounter other players, and it's free fucking for all down there, baby. I like that. It's very Tarkov, but it's also very, like, in the same vein of, like, here is the sandbox, here is your bucket and shovel, have fun, kids, while still keeping it within the lore and like the universe they've built as kind of a fun sort of thing. It's great. I like that idea. It's the direction I want CIG to go in the future in general, which is why after hearing the jump point thing, I was like, this is disappointing. Death in Star Citizen is already hard enough setback just to do how long it takes to get your ship gear put together. Grab your ship, get your AO or whatever you're doing a day. And that's when the servers are running smoothly. I do think that the servers will improve. And then I also think that CIG is going to start implementing elements of Star Citizen which will fundamentally improve the death experience. So things like being able to get the same gear loadout through something like insurance. So you have an insurance system which you can always get your gear that you have insured back to you when you die, and it's a quick equipped sort of thing, reducing the amount of time people will spend dead. I'm not landing on top of the other dude. We're fine. So instead of being, oh, I'm dead. I can't go into third person now. There'll be rust in space. There'll be parts of Pyro which will be rust in space. But unlike Rust, where your actions don't have consequences, your actions will have consequences. We're going to see Pyro. We're going to see Pyro before the end of the year. Hell, we'll see Pyro before CitizenCon. And I constantly say this because people need to understand, like, I don't mean we're going to see Pyro before CitizenCon as if I'm like hoping to God that we're going to get Pyro before CitizenCon. No, it's not a good thing. Me saying Pyro before CitizenCon isn't me going, yay, Pyro before CitizenCon. Me saying Pyro before CitizenCon is, great, cut down half-baked ideas because we need to get something out because we want to make a deadline rather than a game that I want to play. It's just that the consequences isn't corpse in the UEE, but gangs. Yeah. You'll just, instead of going to jail, they'll just shoot you when you get too close to a location. A dynamic event like Siege of Orson scaled to the size of the planet? Yeah, that's definitely with the way that server meshing works. Yeah, that's definitely possible. Them biddies.
Hooray! Half-baked ideas and poorly implemented patches. Wait.
You know what I mean. The fudge. Okay. That's still happening. I can't put away my gun. So an uncontrolled system has no systems. So like they're sort of the same thing. Only an uncontrolled system might be something like a system that has very little active factions. So you might have a small faction or no faction that exists that specifically runs as an area of space. So there's plenty of areas which are just effectively empty that the UEE doesn't have a lot of desire to control because it doesn't have a lot of resources, or it's just not in a position that's very good. So an answer for that would be like, there's a system, I think it's Branagh, which is just outside of the Chronos system, and that system is controlled by the Tavaran. It's controlled by a bunch of Tavaran expats who set up on the world. Now, the world is awful. It's just like this sandblasted hellscape, but it is a place where they can like live together and have their own sort of universe, right? Like it's their own sort of society. Those Tavaran aren't outlaws. They're not gang members. They're, as far as we know, entirely legitimate. They're not pirates. They're not coordinating attacks against UEE or civilian shipping. They just want to be left the fuck alone. And that is a kind of unclaimed outlaw system. All right. Let's go in and get some other stuff. Versus a place like Spider in the Cathcart system, which is definitely an outlaw system. All right, let's see you go down. Let's store you here.
Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
Goodbye, Corsair. Stay safe, okay? Yeah. In some cases, they're similar. Like a pirate system is almost always an uncontrolled system by the UEE. An uncontrolled system is just a system that the UEE doesn't control because they usually don't claim it. Like Null, for instance. But not every system that's uncontrolled is also a pirate system. This early idea of calling all systems that aren't UEE pirate systems is
The
wrong.
Tavaran separatists are safe, for now. At least until oil or quant is discovered in their system.
Until they need to be fucking liberated. Yes, thank you for them biddies. Until the UE goes, smells like oil. It's time to start the third Tavaran War. Just watched the last Captain Stable episode. Do you think they're going to do another one of those things of show Theaters of War targeting December release? I don't think they're going to have Theaters of War this year. At the beginning of this year, I thought, yes, 100%. And then shortly after that, they said, we're pulling all resources away from Arena Commander towards 4.0 and 1.0. And I was like, God fucking damn it. I still think it's going to be a thing, but it's going to be more of a Arena Commander module or Arena Commander mode rather than being a standalone event, which is kind of where all of Arena Commander is going. I've proudly guessed that for the last 2 years, and I will guess it. I probably won't guess it next year, especially if 4.0 has been out for a while and they're working on like 4.1, other systems and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, it's probably a better place to put your development time for right now, at least until they want to implement. So I'm going to make a prediction, and I'm interested to see how correct I'm getting. I think they're going to talk about Death of a Spaceman and insurance, scanning, ship or not shipbuilding, but maybe shipbuilding, homesteading, and there'll be other stuff in there like planet tech and animals and those sorts of things. But like those are the big ones that we're going to see. I think we'll see something like Theaters War before 1.0, but I think that's going to be after they get the Death of a Spaceman system in. Because once they get the Death of a Spaceman system in, they're going to start looking at like, okay, now we need to allow players to like fuck up and die and not have it be a pain in the ass. Okay, where is that is the unusable fucking ATM machine, but you know, hey. My frames, they are dying. There we go. Yeah, I think it's going to come around next year when they start doing more medical gameplay stuff and other sort of like, you know, that sort of content that they generally like to do. All right. Bones, erase all promises of me making footage of me making promises. I need more Go to Camera 2 in my life. I mean, so the other thing is 1.0. They're going to start off with the 1.0 roadmap, and then they're going to kind of explain from there going forward what they're going to do. They won't have another presentation until maybe the end of the first day. They'll have a big presentation about what 4.1 is going to look like or something like that. And then the next day, the day 2, they'll have, because it's shorter for day 2, they'll have Squadron 42. They'll make the announcement. They'll show off some things, that kind of thing. Can I test? So if I put them down, I should be able to pick them back up and drink them? Is that what you're saying there, Iris? I don't know what the bug you're speaking of. Is it like that you can constantly drink? No, it's still just place. Stack 2 empty bottles? Oh, okay. Store. Store. Stack them. Let me split them. I had 15, now I have 1. Seems to have destroyed the bottle. I had 15 and then I drank 2. That's 40, yeah, so. Looks like they fixed it. Will they have another kick-ass trailer like last year? Yes, they will. Almost certainly they will.
Welcome to the ASOP
They'll also probably have a gameplay demo, would be my guess. Possibly even a gameplay you can play on the floor, because like as I've been saying for a last couple of months, and here's where things get kind of weird.
Please visit us again.
Last year, before they made the announcement of Squadron stuff, I said, trust me on this one, something was going down with Squadron. I thought there was going to be more than what they did. They didn't go the full way. But I said, these are the things you need to understand. And then they showed off Squadron and talked about Squadron. And I was like, these are all things that they've talked about with Squadron. Like in the monthly reports. Like all of these things have been talked about or been shown off before. People just don't read the monthly reports. So what I've been able to tell effectively is that CIG is very careful about what they talk about monthly reports, but they also love to talk in monthly reports. And I'll tell you right now, what the monthly reports taught me was that CIG is taking a lot of time to polish Mission 1. Like, more than it should take for them to polish Mission 1. There's probably a couple of reasons for this, but the main reason I can think of is they're going to show off Mission 1. So they're probably going to have a gameplay of it, or even let players play it. I think there's going to be some aspect around Squadron 42 at CitizenCon that's going to be unique to CitizenCon for at least when CitizenCon's released. We're talking about aliens? Let me go back up here and see this. I hope at some point they add another alien species that are galactic junk dealers and masters of machine muckery. It feels like a staple of sci-fi to have a species of Xenos that is short, puntable, and will steal anything. Oh, like Jawas? I don't think we're going to see Jawas. The Ratkin in 40k. World of Warcraft has the Volpera and the Goblins. Spelljammer has kobolds. CG needs something to feel that ecological. You're not going to have puntables, I don't think. But you'll probably have... That really is more around the Banu side of things. I don't think we're going to get tiny comic relief characters. Yeah, humans fill that role in Star Citizen. All right, let's find contracts. Let's see if I can find another hauling mission. Jesus Christ, it's a lot more. Let's see if we can do another one of those. Junior rank small cargo. That's fucking easy. Let's see if there's a better one. That's basically one of those ones we just did, but it's corundum and aluminum. Okay, let's do that. So let's see, that's 34 plus 16 is 40 plus yeah, it's just over the amount I could carry if it was all perfect, but it probably won't be perfect. All right, so we're going to go to Arc L2. Is there a workaround for hangars not opening? I mean, so far it seems like the hangars are opening. Log out, log back in, maybe? Should be fixed. I haven't had hangars not work the entire time I've played 3.24 since it went to PTU. But apparently other people had that problem in Wave 1. I haven't had it, so I couldn't tell you. I could jam it in there, but, you know, I also want to do it the way it's supposed to. Deliver the shipment. Select shipment. Get him about 90% repro. So you've been getting, you just cannot get the things to open up, and have you been reporting it? Okay, then it may be account based, because I haven't seen it at all in my side of things. Grimhex has that issue? Okay. So it's a Grim issue more than anything else? Well, it may work for you, but it's not work for others. Ships have been lost, CR came to their house and kicked their puppies. Like I said, there's nothing in Star Citizen that doesn't have some problem with it, that like 90% of the players are okay with it, and that you know, 9 out of 10 players like, this is a great patch, and one player comes out and is basically like, I was brutally beaten by CIG in front of my mom after I won the Olympics. Have you tried it in Wave 2 yet, Soren? It just went to Wave 2. Have you tried it this patch? The patch that came out today. New Babbage is borked right now. Elevators will get stuck in instance until someone takes one back. Is that why they were causing problems? That's what you get for winning the Olympics. Man, Knowledge, why you cope so hard? Trust me, I also own a Perseus. I'd be very interested in the Perseus coming out. It's not going to happen. Been chilling for a decade now. More time is no matter. I haven't tried. Wave 2. Just give it a pop it on, see if it happens. See if it's still happening. Because that'd be valuable feedback for them as well. Just be like, yeah, it's still happening. Why wouldn't it happen? Because the Perseus hasn't been worked on. There's no evidence that CIG's been working on the Perseus. They haven't talked about it. They haven't mentioned it. The most we could probably even fathom is that CIG was working on it with some of the elements when they worked on the Polaris, but they haven't even finished the Polaris. And when they do unannounced ships, they've never in the past used an unannounced ship as a placeholder for a ship they've already announced. So if it's an unannounced ship, it's a ship they've not announced because they want to sell it. And we know this because that's the way they talk about it in the monthly reports. Unannounced ship Endeavor 2. Yes, all of the unannounced ships are actually Mark IIs of all of the ships we already have in game. God, I hope that's not true. I disagree. There's point to the Perseus without the Polaris. It's just the Perseus is newer than the Polaris, and the Perseus is bigger, and it's almost already done. So it's like, why would you waste the time? Avancer Mark II or Avenger Mark II. Well, there was an Avenger Mark II, but it was just free. Now, I could see the Perseus coming out this time next year, like the fall of next year. It depends on how long it takes them to work on the Galaxy. But the Galaxy is a large ship, not a capital ship, and it will use a lot of the elements from the Polaris in it. So. Yeah, Crew said that they wanted to do one manufacturer at a time because they can reuse assets, because CIG is a dirty, dirty asset flipper.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay. Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Hey, perfect. Yeah, but the Perseus is the Perseus and the Galaxy aren't capital ships. They're large ships. The Perseus is actually smaller than the Hammerhead. They just look big and mean. And the Galaxy, I think, is the same size. It might be a little bigger than the Perseus, but it's around the same size. It's smaller than the Polaris. They need the Kraken to be made some Mythomatic streams again. I'm with you on that one. I miss Myth as well. All right. Listen, everyone will come back for the Kraken because it's Drake. Whenever Drake releases a ship, it becomes the best ship in the game because it's Drake. That's the rule. Drake is the best manufacturer in the game. I don't make the rules. That's just the rules of Star Citizen. It's okay to like Misk. I enjoy the Freelancer. All right, so let's see what we need. I need Seraphim needs tungsten and aluminum. So I need 17 of tungsten. Oh, wait. 17 of tungsten? 17 of aluminum and 34 of tungsten. So all of the tungsten. Let's do the tungsten first. Then it needs aluminum. Let's do the tungsten first. Just raise this up to get all the tungsten in. Do. 0 point energy manipulation for the win. All right, so for Seraphim needs 17. All right. Let's see if we can make it fit. I don't think we can, but we'll see. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I missed 3.17. 3.17. The future was so bright. The copium was so bright. Okay, so that's aluminum, aluminum, aluminum. Let's pull out all of these and then let's see what these are, because those could be 4 SCU crates, but we'll see. I doubt they are, but we could see it. And if they are, then I'll take the corundum as well. Nope, they are definitely not 4 SU crates. Okay, so I need 17. So I need these are 8. So 2, 8, and 8 is 16. So I just need one more to serve them, and I'm good. Yep, hauling missions are in. That's what I'm doing right now. All right. Yeah, so that's I have to do another run here, but it's fine. Oh man, the things I'm going to break in hangars with setting up boxes. Still have my chair right there. Yeah, 3.17 was a fantastic patch because it was just the same. 3.17 is a good example of what CIG can do when they actually have one patch to work with, when they have one like kind of stable ground to work on, not changing the fucking fundamental way that the game functions every other patch. They had that for a year and they did really well, and it was actually really playable and improved the performance. It was very good. And then everything got fucked up with 3.18. But the point being, that's generally what I would expect to happen once 4.0 comes out, where CIG basically is working on the same level playing field for every patch. So you're not going to see as much, you'll see more improvements and less instability. But we have to wait until 4.0 comes out first, because that's going to be fucking awful. You saw what I used to do with the Grey Cat. Yes, I know. There we go with that. Go with that. We're at the cusp of all major back-end tech being added to the game. The future can't be any more bright than it is now. So I've been saying this for a while, but I always have feared days like today, because today, not necessarily specifically today, but in general, what we have is Star Citizen is no longer an unknown possible quantity. It is no longer a idea that will exist at some point in the future. Star Citizen is starting to become a game in terms of, like, the loops are starting to get fleshed out. You're starting to see what Star Citizen will be in the near future. And that's not always a thing that people want to see, because when you start to actualize the gameplay of Star Citizen, it's going to get a lot of people's ideas of what they thought Star Citizen was going to be. It's going to start changing that, because a lot of that is not going to be the final result. And so when ideas and potential ends up being less potential and more the reality of the situation, a lot of people are going to go, wait, what? Knowledge is always memeing. What did knowledge say? Oh yeah, what he's saying is that the Freelancer is a low T ship, which is a joke about people having low testosterone. It's a dumb joke. Yeah, but stop. That kind of shit can be seen as other fucked up shit knowledge, so just drop the idea in general. I didn't see it until you and Ira started talking about it, so I was just like, yeah, it just don't bring it up again. It's dumb. It's like alpha and beta male. It's shitty. It's stupid. The way the gameplay is developing is very much validating my ship choices. Well, I mean, like, I'm not immune to this idea. Just don't bring it up again, dude. You're good. What was I saying? You're saying Drake ships are not really all that great. Gameplay loop being fleshed out. Oh yeah, I'm not immune to that either. Like, look at my rant about fucking jump points. It definitely doesn't fit with what I think Star Citizen should be, but you know, that's what's gonna happen when gameplay starts hitting the fucking code. Not everything's going to match up with what your ideal idea of what Star Citizen is, and the question then becomes, how much of Star Citizen do you How much of what Star Citizen could have been is important compared to what it is. Yeah, it's been nice to see people complain about gameplay for once rather than bugs, but you know. Honestly, it feels like the current system that they're developing is because there's only going to be one jump point in 4.0, and they want to make sure that the jump point that people aren't piling up and crashing. Because as the game expands with new systems, you're going to see more and more people traveling to the different systems, and as they travel to the different systems, you're going to see the player population spread out a little bit more, so it won't be as much of a risk of a pileup. But when there's only two systems, people are going to pile up like crazy through those systems. Even if you only double the current player population to 200 people per shard, you're still going to see a lot of like that sort of problem. So. They're almost certainly going to in the future add ships going to and from jump points, for NPC going to and from jump points. So you might get like lumped into a bunch of NPC ships going through the jump point rather than just being your own player ship. Just to add immersion. Oh. Yeah, I know they want to prevent griefers. I think I am of the opinion that, and this is, I guess, controversial, I don't want them to artificially prevent people who are griefers from capturing the jump points. Let people play stupid games and win stupid prizes. It's a sandbox. I guarantee you that the vast majority of players won't do that. And the players that do that are going to have to face, if you do it with the idea of having a fuck ton of NPCs around the area, you're just going to get fucked. The CIG can also, if they're like, oh, well, we don't know if what's going to make them invincible. Make the NPCs invincible. No one will fucking know. No one will ever fucking know if you made them invincible or if you threw the fucking Warhammer at them and gave it 1 billion health. Like, that shit would be fucking awesome. To sit there and watch the Warhammer fly in and just start beating the fuck out of players like it's going out of fucking style. Like, yes. Inject that shit into my fucking veins. Yeah, but you would still have players be able to stop them. You still have players be able to grief the jump point. And once they've griefed the jump point, eventually the NPCs get called in and you have to deal with the NPCs attacking you. So there won't be an forever sort of you're holding the jump point. But there will be a stage upon which you will no longer be able to hold it because it's too difficult. So there's still a amount of time you can do it, so it's still possible, but you're not doing it infinitely. Yeah, the Elite Dangerous method, where trespassing is the punishment for trespassing is death. I fucking love Elite Dangerous for that. You are currently trespassing in this station. You have 5 seconds to comply or we will blow your ship out of the water. like, okay. Calm down, station. It is the one of the most memeable things I remember from Elite Dangerous, which is where trespassing is only handled by the most effective means of dealing with trespassing, which is violence.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's the name of the? It's kind of like GTA. We're like, yeah, you're gonna get started. You're gonna start off by dealing with the local cops, but eventually you're gonna end up with the fucking military, and you're never going to survive forever against the military. Eventually, you will die. That kind of thing. And you know, gameplay wise, that could benefit. Like you could cause a pile up so people can't use. You're basically blockading a jump point to prevent people from using that jump point, which means that you may have an advantage where maybe you let your guys through the jump point. Maybe you're doing a big raid where you're running in and you're just kind of messing up the jump point region, and you let your people through, and your sacrificial pawns are there to just keep the local cops off your back while you make a huge move in or out of the system. Like, that's great. That's gameplay. I'm all for adding gameplay to an experience, not for, oh, you've been a naughty, naughty child. No jump point for you. You go straight to jail. Like, come on. It's fucking boring. Whee! I made it. Okay. The fuck? Okay. I'm going to take off and then land again. Still counts. Another happy landing. Also, people forget how long-lasting games like Eve. Incursion is super hard. How much PvE is in long-lasting games like Eve. Incursion is super hard, days-long raids. They can be attacked by griefers. However, that adds to the incursion fun. Yeah.
Please proceed Proceed to assigned landing bay.
Is that here? Of course it is fucking right here.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Yeah, guess that's fine. Now do an inventory of the wingy and pointy bits to see if they're all there. Probably not. Make sure it's still good. Nah, it needs to be moved back a little bit further. Patch is okay. There's some weird issues, but nothing like preventing game breaking, I should say. Nothing that I would say is preventing the game from, or this patch from being released. I'm sure there'll be more issues as they go through, but so far, I would say this is a solid game, a solid patch, bugs and all. It's gonna have bugs no matter what you do, unfortunately, but you know, such is the nature of Star Citizen. To be fair, Ryan, I've also only just now started it. Like I started a couple hours ago, but so far, it's been pretty good. You got to remember that I've suggested that you try this game out. So you're going to have the worst experience you've ever had in gaming, because I am like the kiss of fucking death when I suggest people. I'm like, hey, I've had a great time. You should try it out. And people are like, cool. My PC's on fire and Star Citizen somehow uninstalled Windows. Or even worse, it somehow installed Windows on my machine, which is Linux. Ship it. Yeah, I'm sure there's still some small issues here and there they could work out. There definitely seems to be some weird bugs, but like those bugs aren't like, oh, the game can't be played. It's like, oh, that's weird. Okay, I'll just move around a little bit. Can't wait to fly through an open hangar and have my GPU explode. Oh yeah. I've been able to move stuff around without it jittering around or blowing up, so I'm okay with that. Rock gems can't be turned in at prison this patch for some reason. That sounds about right. CIG doesn't give a shit about prison gameplay anyways. Just making life hard for everybody who has to go to prison. Boop, 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 boop. Yes, you can still have other angers, but it's vote. Yeah, it's not blowing your eardrums out. Hey, that actually updated to 34 out of 34. And do the other update. Oh, it's because it's the part one of many parts. Yeah. 17 out of 17. Nice. It's doing this again. You would never be able to sell them outside of prison. Or I mean, like the gems. All gems are specific gems because you couldn't sell Aphorite. Dolivine you could, but not Aphorite. Have you tried it with multiple gems? Because that's something that's existed for a while if it's just Aphorite. The only reason why my hauling mission, my first hauling mission failed is because the server 30k'd. And unfortunately, the servers do not have the mission, the new mission bypass, which allows you to, the missions to be run off of the replication layer rather than the server itself.
Thank you, and please visit again.
There we go. I also have a stock Corsair here, so the travel is a little bit longer for me. The missions just refactor, you mean? That transitions missions from DGS to replication layer? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Until 4.0 happens, you won't have that. But when 4.0 happens, if that's in there, which it should be, we may actually have a situation where your game 30Ks and you 40K when your game becomes the grim darkness of the far future. When your game becomes the Horus Heresy, you end up being a you end up keeping your missions because it should be connected to the replication layer. How is everyone doing, by the way? Thank you so much for hanging out with us so far. Those of you who haven't been around, this is my name's Paul. This is the AstroPub. We do Star Citizen. We don't just do Star Citizen, but it is the main game we play. I'll probably be doing some Mecha Break when that comes out, maybe more frequently even. I hang out on Fridays with Loken. We do what we call Pub and Plays, where we do co-op games together. So we've been doing MechWarrior 5 as the Florida Mercenaries. Long story, but I have all of that on my YouTube under the MechWarrior 5 Florida Mercs playlist. So you can watch all 4 sessions we've done so far. Enjoying the hauling missions overall? I have, at least. I've been enjoying them. I understand that they're not meta, but they're fun. The men of Florida. Well, the short answer to that is that we discovered that when you spawn in doing when you do the career missions for MechWarrior 5, the career co-op gameplay with MechWarrior 5, you spawn in and you do the Steiner start, you spawn in at the Florida system or around the Florida system in Steiner space. So we were like, we're the Florida men. See, that's the whole point of why I do co-op missions, is because I love co-op games, because when games let you co-op, you can be more fun. Like, for instance, when we do Space Marine 2, I will say,
Brother, I am pinned here. I require my nappy. Looking like a true survivor. Feeling like a little kid, you know?
fun stuff like that. Florida man deploys Hunchback as LRM mech. We did deploy a Centurion as an LRM mech. It had LRMs and snipers and a PPC on it. Currently, I have the Hunchback, and the Hunchback is currently equipped with dual fists. So I can just start punching. Dual fists and a LRM, no, AC-10, like a rapid fire AC-10. We've made a rule: whenever there's a Hunchback involved, I demand. I think it's a rack 10. It's called like. It's like AC-10 rapid fire, I think it's what is what it's called as. It's not a rack. Hunchy fists that hit harder than AC-20s. Yes, they are dual AC-20 cannons on my fists. We've made a rule where if there's another Hunchback, I must for the sake of honor, I must 1v1 the Hunchback. BF, yes, thank you. Burst fire. It's not rapid fire, it's burst fire. It's AC-10 burst fire. So burst fire AC-10s. Now, it's of course Florida rules. So we take out the other Hunchy's AC-20, and then I go in swinging. And if I'm starting to lose, then I start shooting them with my AC-10, because you know I'm a dirty fighter. I'm a mercenary. I'm just gonna show them a little bit of respect. I have to be the one that puts them out of their misery. Give them the honorable death. We've decided to name our dropship the Waffle House. So we return and arrive to battle on the Waffle House. And we've given the only Brit in our team the Black Knight, because it's just appropriate. Solid food, solid fights. Fairly affordable food. Good, decent tasting. And you have a higher than likely chance of seeing a live fight break out. And you're like front row. It's better than UFC, better than WWE. Like it's mwah, perfect. It's like a redneck version of medieval times. Open unless there's a hurricane. Yeah, open all the time. The Black Knight ensures victory, because since the Black Knight always triumphs. Late night at the Waffle House is Shakespeare, but with more meth. Yes. Went to New Jersey many moons ago. Went to a Waffle House for the first time. As the waitress asked the waitress what's good on the menu, and she laughed at me and said, "I will give you a moment with the menu." Was the food good? New Jersey Waffle House. I haven't heard about that. I'm so used to Waffle House as being a Southern institution. Waffle House is not good, but it is good. Waffle House is where you can get slightly around the same quality as IHOP or Denny's, but for like $20. Like for like half the price of IHOP, you're gonna get almost twice as many almost twice as much food. Depends on how drunk you are. Yeah, that is true. No one thinks Waffle House is good. let me make sure that's understandable. Waffle House is not fine dining. It is just dining. I do. Listen, it's become a tradition that when my wife and I go to see a movie, we go to Waffle House before our dinner and a movie is going to Waffle House, because both my wife and I, when we first started dating, we would go to a Waffle House all the time because we lived near a Waffle House, and it's just been a tradition. I love me an All-Star Special, and it is good food. But I am not going to sit here and tell you it's the best diner food you will ever have in your life. It is okay. It is violently okay. It's better than Applebee's. Yeah, it doesn't suck. I think the term violently okay is the best way of describing it. I've had more entertaining nights, late night drunk at a Waffle House, than I have anywhere else. No! I was almost done! Oh, I think I'm gonna call it a night. That's heartbreaking. The second 30K in a row. Second 30K in a row. Right when I'm halfway through my mission. It's okay. We'll see if they fix it. It might be one of those situations where they have to, they're like something went wrong with the hybrid service. It's like, it'll recover fine. Just there's no mission. And it's crashed about an hour, almost an hour after it first crashed. So it's pretty consistent, like 1 hour afterwards. This wouldn't be so bad if they had the God, what was it? Mission refactor. Oh, it came back earlier. Ta-da! It's been really quick in this patch. But as you'll see, I'm going to call it a night there. That's kind of heartbreaking. That's all right. So, is 3.24 okay? It's doing okay. There's definitely some 30K problems, and hopefully they'll figure out what that is. But let me...
Them biddies.
You don't go to a Waffle House, you end up at a Waffle House.
See, that's the rule I always had for that is Denny's. That's the rule for Denny's. Like, I choose to go to a Waffle House. I'm never going to choose to go to a Denny's. I'll just end up at a Denny's. I turned the engines off. I'm a little high up. Hold on. PT is brutal this cycle. It's at its limit. It's not surprising that people are super pessimistic about 4.0 after this PTU cycle. Like, I get it. I understand it. Like, it can be soul crushing to see them take this long for something that seems this trivial. But at the same time, sometimes it's just time to walk away. I will end on this. I do think one of the main problems that CIG has currently is that they never capitalize on their summers. CIG always squanders their summers. This has been the case for like ever. I think 317 was the exception because they had 317 in a good position. But prior to 317, it was a problem. And then last year and this year has been a problem where they just sort of let the summer, let the kind of gameplay and hype die in the summer. I think you need meshing for this to work right. No, I don't think so. I think they can make it work, but I do think that they need meshing pretty quickly afterwards. Well, good thing 4.0 is coming this summer, like Jared promised. Jared never promised. You know this, Iris. But he did open his mouth and say the words that it was coming out, that they're shooting for summer release, which everyone carved into stone as Jared promising coming for that 4.0 is coming out in July, even though people like myself and plenty of other people in the community were like, do not take that as it's coming out in July. That means it's coming out in August at the earliest. They missed a shot. It happened. Well, it was never intended to come out in July. 4.0 was always going to be shot for August, because that's usually what CIG is saying. When they say summer, it's August is that patch. He promised 4.0. He personally paid off my student loans. I get what he was saying. He was very excited about it, but what he should have done was shut up about it. And I know Jared sometimes watches me when I say these sorts of things. So this is not meant as I don't mean to be ill-willed towards Jared. This isn't an hostile intent. It's just, I think Jared let their excitement get ahead of their expectations. And I'm sure they're very excited, like the rest of us, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited. But I think the lesson that should be learned, the teacher side of me, the lesson that should be learned from anybody at CIG excited about talking about a release date is, are you 80 to 90% sure that is going to happen? If the answer is no, then it doesn't hurt anything to not say a date. showing people off that it's being worked on and working on it is fine. But and you're always going to get people who complain that it's not out yet. But showing off the features is a good step. And then when you get that 80 to 90% assurance, saying the date, usually CIG is pretty good once they are at that state. You usually get a pretty good idea. They didn't say it was Q2. They said it would. They said what Jared said, and I'll pull it up. Actually, let's pull it up. Before we go, let's pull that up because that's an important thing to use because people will blow things out of proportion. It was the last video in December. I think it was this one. Okay.
I did. Just now. Oh, you can check those off. Distribution centers that'll be the new microcosm homes for every gameplay and mission feature that exists in Star Citizen, as well as the 4, 5, 6, let's just say several new and updated vehicles that are making their way to the persistent universe in just the first 6 months of 2024. I did. Just now. Oh, you can check those off. Whew. Okay, so real talk. CIG hat back on. Now, you're probably looking at your screen and saying to yourself, what about Pyro and 4.0? Well, don't fret. The things that we just covered are those that aren't too dependent on continuing foundational tech work like server meshing. So we feel pretty confident in targeting everything that we just shared for the first 6 months. But when it comes to something as enormous as the complete Pyro system in Alpha 4.0, well, that's where the new preview channel comes into play. Now that said, Alpha 4.0 is currently targeting a summer 2024 release, but that won't mean that you have to wait until then to play it or learn more about it. That's because in 2024, we'll continue doing play tests like the one we just completed, and you'll be able to follow along with its development firsthand on the preview channel. That's the planets, moons, space stations, settlements, and outlaw lifestyle that comes within the Pyro system, but also an entire host of additional new features, content, and quality of life improvements like, oh, I don't know, fully functional jump points, the new quantum travel system, new vehicle HUD and MFD work, resource management, hacking, and much, much more, all being worked on in tandem. The preview channel will let you and us test for...
Man, that was awful. That was an awful guess. We haven't had but 2 preview channels in the entire year. And unless they're planning on doing all of those things between now and like November, like October, November, I don't think we're going to see a lot of that stuff coming out with Pyro.
4.0 together while maintaining the stability of the persistent universe with all those other great additions we just discussed. And then, in the summer of 2024, 2 become 1, and we can avoid that thing that didn't quite go the way that we'd hoped.
The holiday live stream?
And then,
Good
just
joke.
because we're cheeky, there are still some things better left for you to discover on your own. And don't forget, we haven't even talked about the back half of the year yet.
So, what he said specifically was that they were targeting a summer's 2024 release. And I'm going to be very clear on this one. Summer doesn't end until September. And I don't think CIG meant September. I think they meant August. September 2020, 22nd this year. You got to remember that CIG uses weasel words. And so what you think is summer, which is like, oh, June, July, it's August. generally. And CIG may do the weasel out and be like, well, technically summer doesn't end until September 22nd. He said first 6 months for this.
Targeted and currently on track for release in just the first half of 2024, starting with master modes, the new way to pilot and operate ships we've been discussing since CitizenCon 2952. Now, whether that's every ship or a staggered rollout of groups of vehicles depends on how work progresses, but it's a major change to the way spaceships operate in the persistent universe, and you can be sure that we'll update on it more when the time comes. And of course, when your ships aren't in flight, they can be stored in the newly persistent hangars that are arriving with freight elevators, freight kiosks, and the new cargo transaction system that we've shared on both ISC and this year's CitizenCon. Now, all combined, they form the next major evolution of cargo careers and will also have far-reaching, broader implications for the entire Star Citizen experience. And then outside of vehicles and hangars, there's also a variety of FPS combat improvements coming to the first half of 2024, with improvements to reloading, the weapon wear and misfire system, scopes and dynamic crosshairs, and charge and drain, and even more we'll be able to show you once we return in the
Charge and drain never made it.
new year. And then outside of strictly FPS combat, there are new player character features coming, like the updates to the EVA system, the visor and lens system, loot screens, default item interactions in the personal interaction system, and there's even new shopping and mission apps in development now. And while we're talking about apps, the first half of 2024 is also currently scheduled to see the arrival of our new character customizer with things like tattoos, piercings, scars, and yes, Virginia, it's true, beards. Now, as for how many and of what kind, only Andre knows for sure, but you can bet we're going to ask him sometime around March. And then, of course, if you're in-game, there's also a little thing called Mobiglass and an awfully big thing called Star Map that are both getting their big updates in the first half of next year. And have I mentioned those enormous distribution centers that'll be the new microcosm homes for every gameplay and mission feature that exists in Star Citizen, as well as the 4, 5, 6, let's just say several new and updated vehicles that are making their way to the persistent universe in just the first 6 months of 2024?
He didn't say first quarter. He said first 6 months.
I did, just now.
So I just sped through it, but yeah. Basically 5 out of everything he said didn't make it. 5 of those items didn't make it, which one of them is charge and drain, which I don't really seem to do that, but it's basically 3.24. 3.24 didn't make it. Then there's the recent narrative SCL where it says targeting before the end of the year, then defined defined end of the year as the last week of 2024. Yeah, he was saying it's going to come out this year. It's not going to come out at the last week of 2024. They're coming out before then. So, like I said, capsule, could think of engagement. That's a good capsule. I think we'll do that. We'll do that tomorrow. Thank you for the clickbait rage there, Iris. You've got the finger on the pulse. Stand-up sounds like a Billy Mays commercial. Yeah. It's important if we're going to try to hold CIG accountable, as everyone wants to scream about, to make sure you understand exactly what CIG said and how they said it. And they were targeting the first 6 months, and at least 5 of that list of probably 10 or items or so slipped from the first 6 months. But of those 5, 4 of them are going to make it into 3.24. Welcome everybody. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley. Your host, Spacebar at the AstroPub. Your Spacebar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. We're probably going to go for another. We'll hang out for a few more minutes though, so it's not the end of the world. Well, how you doing there, Zero? We're talking about 3.24 because I just played about 3 hours of 2.5 hours of 3.24, and it was great, except for the 30Ks, which were destroying my multi-mission stages. I'd get through like half of a mission for cargo, and then it would 30K and fail my mission. It was like, fucking shit, CIG. God fucking damn it. And then I did it again, and it happened again. So we were going through finishing up, and we were talking about, because like one of the things that's been going on is, you know, obviously people are concerned about 4.0, because if CIG is taking this long to do something like 3.24, people like rightfully are like, can CIG pull off 4.0 at the end of this year? And so people are back to panicking, and are like 4.0 is not coming out until 2027 because it's too hard for CIG to do it. And that kind of stuff. So I wanted to kind of clear the air in terms of like, let's see what Jared said at the end of last year, specifically because people are going to hold Jared to standards that he didn't actually say. And so what we were going over was that Jared said in the first 6 months of the year, listed a bunch of features, and Iris had a good point. Iris said that that I should do a video where we look at what Jared said, we watch what Jared said, and we list off all of the things that Jared said was going to come in the 6 months and how many of it made it. And just kind of just from the first glance, we're talking about this video, which was called Shipping Out, which was released at the end of last year. And based off of the initial glance, 5 things didn't make it in the first 6 months, but 4 of them are in Squadron in 3.24, which should be releasing in the next couple of weeks. So the first 8 months, so 2 months slipped. 4 missed it, but still made it in 2 months. So unless I'm mistaken, I don't think there's any interdependency between 3.24 and 4.0. Not really. The only thing that needs to make it in 3.24 that's part of 3.40 is the missions. It's basically everything in 3.24 should be in 4.0, but 4.0 doesn't need to exist for 3.24 to exist. Importantly, there should probably be a part on how to accept reality with grace and kindness and healthy dose of practicality. I mean, I'll explain that, like, the when CIG says targeted, they don't chisel something into stone. Don't set your life schedule based off of what CIG says. But, you know, there's a difference between CIG said this and it's going to take an infinity plus 10 for them to get it done. And, you know, CIG is going to miss it by a couple of weeks. There's a lot of stuff that was that was listed at the end of the year that made it in 3.23. There's a lot of stuff that did. Not everything, but a lot. We technically got drained because of the batteries for the big tractor beam. Do they actually drain? I don't think they actually drain at all. You mean I shouldn't schedule time off for 4.0? No. So 3.24 being late shouldn't be as an indicator of whether 4.0 would be late. Yeah, I mean 4.0, the thing that's going to delay 4.0's release is likely going to be testing. Like, we should probably almost certainly we'll have 4.0 in like first or second wave PTU for a while. We'll probably maybe even an open PTU for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if CIG gets 4.0 into a state that they're okay with releasing well before CitizenCon, but leaves it in open PTU for a while just so they can, you know, work out all of the bugs they can so that they can drop it in, around CitizenCon. But that's the real big thing that's holding up 4.0 from 3.24 is the QA. The people on platform and the people in QA whose job is to push that stuff to live. Wacka and the people with Wacka, all of the people on platforms and the platform team can only handle so much at once. So they're dealing with 3.24, and so they need to release 3.24 before they can move over to 4.0 and start handling that. The people at Austin, at CIG Austin's job, are to do that sort of thing, to help push that out to players. And as far as I understand, they need they can't do both at once. They've done it before. You've had one die on me and had to replace the battery? Really? That's impressive. So it may just be a very long-lasting battery. But yeah. So, and it might be controversial to say this because I've said this before, but I'm telling you, 4.0 is coming out before CitizenCon. It may not be everything we see in 4.0's roadmap right now, but it's coming out before CitizenCon. Because CIG wants that shit out so that they can talk about 1.0 and not get reamed for it. I've softened my belief a little bit to say that it may be an open PTU by CitizenCon and a release sometime after CitizenCon, but they're not. And people are like, oh, they're going to push the big button at CitizenCon. No. They're not going to push the big button for 4.0 at CitizenCon because they have to plan that. And the people who would be supporting the release of 4.0 would be the people who are at CitizenCon, and you don't want them to be working while also being at CitizenCon. So either that's releasing before or after CitizenCon. So my question is, will meshing be out before CitizenCon? Yeah. Meshing is coming out with 4.0. So whenever 4.0 is out, someone can have meshing. Yeah, it will. If 4.0 is released anytime, it's not going to work as well as you think it is. I swear to God, dude, it's still an alpha. It's not in pre-alpha. CIG hasn't called it pre-alpha since like 1.0 or 2.0 released. No, since 2.0 released. It's alpha. It's just not in a good playable state of alpha. Also, you don't really want to make people choose between playing your big patch or being at your big event. Yeah, that would be kind of shitty for people like myself. And PTU is probably pre-alpha, but... So your personal definition of alpha is when server meshing comes in, because CIG's definition of alpha is already out in alpha. I will also reiterate, naming terminology in gaming and in tech is stupid. It's not unified. It is entirely made up. And the points don't matter. Just like, whose line is it anyway? It's not even a meme. It is like legitimate. Like alpha doesn't mean shit. Beta doesn't mean shit. Pre-alpha, tech demo, none of those things have unified definitions. They're just whatever the fuck they want to feel like it. Like every company has a different definition because every company has a different structure and they have a different path. It's the same reason why when people say, well, why don't you just use code from insert X company to make your game? Because it doesn't work like that.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never.
Never.
Ever.
Ever.
Space game.
The first Tasty just resubscribed for 40 months. Well, hello there.
General Tasty. How you doing there, General? First Tasty. Thank you for that 40 months of support. You're a very important pupper, very impressive, very new pedestrian. This is your fault. You're drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Wrapping it up. But yeah. I did Spark like before when they were still using stock CryEngine, but now their engine is so heavily modified I wouldn't be able to use other code. There would like no game works like that. Like almost, I would say outside of maybe like an indie project or like a game jam, you code everything from scratch. Like you might have the framework of something, like a game that has a light multiplayer element but is mostly single player with CryEngine might use the stock CryEngine multiplayer assets and stuff like that just to kind of get you working. But almost everything is customized once you used for like games the size of Star Citizen. Once you start using stuff. So.
This is why SIG should put their ships on the blockchain, so you can own your ship and use it in any game. Papa Ashley Evil.
Oh, thank you, Iris. I needed that laugh. Oh, fuck. Big brain. It's also one of the reasons why, and this is my conspiracy theory, you can believe me or not, CIG has promised nothing after 4.0. At CitizenCon, they'll promise whatever is going to be in 1.0, but they promised nothing after 4.0. So mark my words, we are no longer getting 4.0.1 or 4.0.2 or 4.0.3. I think CIG is just going to just full send every patch that is after a mainline patch is going to be a mainline patch. We won't have a 4.0.1, but we will have a 4.1. And we won't have a 4.1.2, but we will have a 4.1.1. We'll have a 4.2. We won't have a 4.2.1. We'll have a 4.3. We might have 4.69 before the end of the 4.0 branch, and it may last only 2 years. Like, because that's just how they understand that players don't think that the .x the right now 3.x.x patches are patches. They don't see them as patches, but they do see it if you put the big number behind the other number. If you have a 3 dot and then a big number patch, people think that is a patch, even though it's not really. And it's all psychology. And so what the fuck, the naming of the patch just doesn't fucking matter. It's never mattered. People said, well, it used to mean something. It's like, it's not mattered since like 3.3. Like, they have done the trick where they took a 3.x.x patch, a kind of a sub patch, and called it a bigger patch, and then pushed it out for the last quarter of the year. They've done that like 3 times. People just didn't notice because people don't think about it. It's like this is something they did all the time. Can we expect smoke effects in 420? No, CIG didn't even give me a fucking pizza pie in 3.16, so I doubt they're gonna use it. We will have a 4.2.0 though. And it may actually come out around April 1st. Because I do think what we'll have is 4.0, and then anything that doesn't make it in a 4.0's branch, we'll make it in 4.1, which will be at the end of the year. We'll add a couple of things and then put that in there. And it'll be a 4.0.x patch, but they'll just call it 4.1. And then the first patch of the year will be 4.2. And it'll come out in like March or April. You think we'll get a big progress tracker update next week? That's the update. It's supposed to be 1.0, or are we waiting for CR? So we're not going to get 1.0's roadmap, but we probably are going to get the progress tracker update for what 1.0 is going to look like. So we'll look at it the next on Thursday for office hours. We'll take a look at it. We'll probably do a deep look, and I might yell at some people I know to see if they can come on to help me out, kind of analyzing stuff like that, because it's going to be a big one, and it's likely going to be mostly we'll know what CIG is working on for 1.0 by that point. Or at least in general, what the next year is going to look like. And I can venture a guess that it's going to be scanning, hacking, quantum travel, because the current system we have is still the old quantum system. It's not the new quantum system. And server meshing, obviously, dynamic meshing, and so a couple of other things. Scamming? Yes, scamming. Maybe bounty hunter. But thank you for joining us. Thank you, Zero, for that late raid. I'm sorry that I blame CIG. I would have still been streaming for another 30 minutes if CIG didn't constantly 30K my ass with stuff, but you know. We're going to be moving on to somebody else, but I'll be back tomorrow for my office hours where I do more of this, but more in depth. We'll watch the ISC. We'll look at the monthly reports. We'll talk about different things, all that sort of stuff, for 4 hours. And then Friday, we're going to do our pub and plays with more MechWarrior 5 mercenaries. Where we go? Hold on. Rated VTuber. I've been rating VTubers all the time.
You can take away my spaceship.
It's easy because they can't leave. They can't touch grass. So.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can
never, ever
take away my
I am doing this D&D thing with Croncy.
Lawrence_Pierce has subscribed.
Thank you, Lawrence Pierce, for that Twitch Prime sub. You were a very important pub, a very impressive person, a very neat pedestrian. This is your fault. These are drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Yeah, I'll be doing the D&D charity thing Saturday too. So Saturday we'll be doing that, and then also Captain's Table. With right now it's tentative because it's supposed to be Crucian and Night Cobb. We'll be talking about fire and engineering and stuff like that. But I don't know how long the D&D thing is going to last. I think it's starting around 11 o'clock my time, so like 11 is an hour before I usually go live, and it's usually these things are usually 3 to 4 hours, so I'll probably start late if anything, but we'll see. I need to figure out what the plan is, because if the plan is just kind of we feel it out and go as long as we go, then I'll have to kind of put off Captain's Table, but we'll see. It'll be fun. We'll be raising money for charity and playing D&D. We've got Space Tomato. Croncy's the DM, but it's Space Tomato, Red Monster, Salty Mike, myself, and Expat Brat. We're doing it, so. Do you think this game is trying to be like World of Warships with ship selling, and they don't know how to add that to an MMO? What? No. I think it's going to be similar to what MechWarrior Online does. Space 1899? Nah, it's 5th edition D&D. But yeah. And then Sunday we'll do our archaeology stream. Star Citizen archaeology streams, which is we go out into the universe and we shoot bad guys and recover artifacts from their crates and then hold on to them. That's as far as I know. No. If you think anybody in Star Citizen is having a feud with each other, They probably aren't. Mike and Space are not having odds at all. As far as I understand, the thing about the reaction streams wasn't even Mike's thing. It was because of another channel that has nothing to do with Star Citizen was doing reaction content and reacted to some of Tomato's content. Tomato reached out to see if they'd come on to a podcast to talk to them about it, and they ghosted Tomato entirely. And that's why he was pissed off about it, because it was not Mike, it was someone else, and that did not convert into any kind of improvement for Tomato's streams. So yeah, it was not Mike. The closest thing I've heard about it being having to do with Mike was that the guy who ghosted Tomato went on Mike's podcast, but Mike didn't know that the guy had ghosted Tomato. I've had that happen before too, where people went on to my podcast and I've heard later, it's like, I reach out to them. How do you get to the hold of them? Like, I didn't fucking know that you're trying to get a hold of them. Are you going to Shenanigans, the D&D game? Probably not. But I do play a character named Garrett Vanya, who's a cleric of love. He is there to spread love and peace to the world. Like, literally, he gives up all of his money to charity and help orphans out. He's that kind of good guy. He's not gonna be like gonna police people, because he's also was a bad guy at one point. He was a thief. So he's the kind of good guy that's like, he'll break into the Lord's manor and steal gold so he could feed the poor, because that's better than, you know, letting the Lord hoard the gold and not help the poor out. If the poor are dying because of the Lord, if the poor are dying because of the Lord, and the consequences, sort of thing. He's chaotic good. He just really loves love. Love is very important to him. Any cosplay with my character? Probably not. We could wear a wig. He's a halfling cleric. So, Robin of the Hood. If Robin of the Hood was a hoe, like Garrett Vanya is a man hoe. He is very much down to whatever with whatever and whoever. Too much BG3. I played Garrett Vanya several years before BG3 came out. Okay? I'd like to think I was a pioneer in being a manho in D&D. I just heard Mike say Mrs. Tomato had sunk her fangs into him in one of the VODs. I didn't hear the clarification. I didn't hear anything else like that. Astro, depending on the character who played Robin, it might have actually happened. But yeah, so he's a fun character. I've played him a couple times before. He's great to add in, because I always like to play him as a deep character, in the sense that I play him, role play as him. So the actions that he would take is what I will take with him, which will add drama, because some people will be like, I'm going to take all the money and use it. And Garrett might get mad at that because of, you know, people taking his money that he was going to go for the poor, and he might start swinging a mace. But he also has he has a war cry. He's a very valiant war cry where he swings a mace around and goes "Ah!" into battle, because he's a melee mace. A melee cleric. He's very fierce. He's an off tank. he's a halfling off tank, which is not a good idea. I'll finish up with this question: do you think Star Citizen should have a simple funding model and just ask for a monthly subscription, so that you earn by playing and not having the gear, only play time? Nope, because that doesn't work. Monthly subscriptions, required monthly subscriptions for games does not work. It hasn't worked outside of the the exceptions that are currently using it. Monthly subscriptions have been tried for decades, and they don't work. All they do is restrict player counts, which means less people playing, which means less interest in the game. Yeah, they're dead. We already have a monthly sub. We already have monthly subs as an optional monthly sub. That's going to evolve into more gameplay content. But yeah, you're not going to see monthly subs. It's not a viable method of keeping the game alive. You sound like the elf rogue in Dragon Age. Zev was his name. Oh, okay, cool.
I love democracy.
I only half listen while I'm at work, and the scream is perplexing. It's that fierce, you know. It worked fine for games that did not try to rip off your players for advancement in game and replace leveling advancement with hundreds of dollars of a month to keep up with everyone. It's only worked for like 3 games that I can think of, and every other game it failed. There's no reason why it would work in Star Citizen. And we already have a monthly subscription, which is optional, that gives things out. And I don't think it works very well. I think it works for what it's done. But if you took that as everything, especially after charging people $50 to play the game, not going to work. The model doesn't work. It's been tried. It doesn't work. All of the games that were monthly subscriptions went free to play. And a lot of those that went free to play saved them. You can wish for whatever you want, time. You can wish into the universe whatever you want. I'm just telling you that wishing into the universe that Star Citizen's in pre-alpha and that it's eventually going to go monthly subscription is both wrong. You can do what you want. I'm not your mom. I'm not going to tell you, when to go to bed and what you can eat and what you should wear. Do what you want, but don't put your hopes into it, buddy. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, there's like 2 games that work. WoW is one of them, but Star Citizen's never going to be WoW. Is EverQuest still sub model? The original EverQuest, is it even still up? I'm not arguing about whether it's a good idea to go free to play. I'm just saying monthly subscription model will not work because it has been proven to not work. It is a stupid idea to try, and it will make CIG fail. Like, that's just that. Like, that's facts. Like, I don't know how to tell you any more than that. It's not a good idea financially, because if you look at the past and you look at the current trends of MMOs, you can see what works and what doesn't work, and it won't work. Good night, Paul. I'm going to go buy one of those Star Citizen loot boxes. I disagree with your view. That's fine, time, but reality disagrees with your view, my dude. You can wish it all you want, but you're wrong. There was a YouTuber who asked the Lineage 2 fan server how much it cost, those two Lineage servers. It was like $50K a year. Yeah. One with a strapping schoolgirl on her armor. Yes. All right. With that, I'm going to have a good head out. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for watching. I will be back tomorrow for more office hours where we can ask those questions and we can get in more of an in-depth conversation about it. Maybe even do a little video about it. But yes. Thank you for watching. Love your faces. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.